and then use your index fingers to stretch. So middle fingers and thumbs, index finger to stretch, and the first thing you do is just go ahead and capture it right over the clamp. And that should be quick. And this is the hardest part for the patient because your hands are down in their throat and they could end up having a little bit of a gag issue. But if you do it pretty quickly, like I've described, it shouldn't be a problem. And then the next area that I go to is the contralateral tooth that we're isolating, and I try to get that and the canine next to it, and with a little bit of back, a little bit of muscle, we can usually get that into a situation where it stays put, okay? Now from this point forward, it's really quite simple. It's just a matter of knifing it through little by little by little. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit more of a zoom here. And I'm gonna ask one of my assistants to stabilize the distal portion of the rubber dam, of the Typodon. Thank you, sir. And so this is the cool thing here, and it's oftentimes not done exactly right. We'll try to get it zoomed in here. I'll get a little bit more light on it so we can see. And so we're gonna go ahead and knife it through one at a time. Now I want you to see how this works. Now, it would be very easy to put the whole darn thing through like that and try to get dental floss in there. That's not what I mean by knifing. What I mean by knifing is stretching it. Notice how I'm using my fingers to stretch it, and I'm turning it over into the hole, okay? So here, once again, stretch, turn it over into the interproximal space, I should say. There's an easy one. And right here, do you see how this edge is dropping down one edge at a time? And then one here, one edge at a time, one edge at a time. And then, like in the back here, whoops, I'm sorry, I should move in the way. There do you see how this is not, I'm not putting the whole thing over, I'm edging it through like a piece of paper going between two rocks. Watch this, watch how it goes through one layer at a time and through. And by waiting and stretching, you'd be amazed at how easy it is to put the rubber dam on. And that took all of about 45 seconds to put the rubber dam on. And you may say, yeah, right, doc, that's a Typodon on the bench top. Try in the mouth. Well, if you watch me do it in the mouth, it looks about the same. And my residents here are nodding their heads saying, yeah, we've seen you do it. So this is a little bow tie. It's a triangle that measures maybe a little over 1 centimeter per side, maybe about 1.5 centimeters, maybe 15 millimeters per side. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch this and we're gonna insert it between the premolar and the one behind it. That'll help to retain the rubber dam nicely on the opposite side. Then what we've really gotta do, very important, is we've gotta make sure that all the rubber dam is flossed through in the sulcular areas, all in the sulcular areas, all the way. You know, a lot of people don't do this. They don't go around each tooth and make sure that they flossed into each sulcular area. This is a big part of every rubber dam I place, is I do this little step here where I've gone through each one. And by doing that, I'm gonna turn this around. You'll find that you end up inverting automatically. By getting the floss between the teeth in the sulcular area, you have minimal amounts of areas to invert. It almost inverts on its own. And so now we can use the Explorer and not the beaver tail, because the beaver tail is not an instrument you're used to using in the mouth anyway. Use your Explorer with some air spray and just loop it along to get it inverted. These are already inverted, they did it on their own. Well, that's pretty much done, isn't it? Not too much to worry about there. Let's say you had a tricky spot where something wasn't inverting very well, like here in the front, and if I can have Arash, if you can tip that up for me, and I'll put that in focus for everybody. I will, I promise. There we go. If, for example, you had an area that wasn't inverting here in the front, you can do the cross tie technique, or the crossover. You can put the dental floss in, one on each side, and then you can just cross the rubber dam on top of itself and cinch it down. And it cinches down really nicely. And if for some reason it keeps popping up on you, just tie a knot right there. And you've got yourself a nice inversion. So another way to invert is to put the floss between the teeth, cross it over this way, and then pull it down as you cinch it, and you'll see how nicely those invert. Isn't that kind of cool?